Final Fantasy XVI is set to release less than a week from now, and until then we have the demo to tie us over. For those of you who aren't aware, Final Fantasy XVI is the latest mainline entry in the long-running RPG series from Square Enix, this time being developed by Square's very own creative unit Business 3, the same people responsible for the success of Final Fantasy XIV, as well as some help from Platinum Games of Nier Automata and Bayonetta fame, as well as some help from the team behind Kingdom Hearts. This latest entry sets out to revitalize the Final Fantasy brand after fans were left burned from the Final Fantasy XV game, and for some fans, titles even earlier than 15. Since demos can be a good indicator of the overall quality of the product on release, does this demo instill the confidence necessary in me to believe in the possibility of CBU3's lofty ambitions to put the Final Fantasy name back on the map? In short, absolutely. Now, once more, I would like to reiterate that this is a demo, and often they are good barometers for how well a game will turn out in the end. That said, a chunk of the game is still a chunk, and things can turn out very differently on release. Personally, I have followed this game's development particularly close, and have every reason to believe that what we are getting on the 22nd of June will end up being a modern RPG classic. The demo, upon finishing it for the first time, only served to reinforce that. Yes, this is an action-based RPG, which historically you may think is quite a departure from Final Fantasy's traditional style, but those knowledgeable of the Final Fantasy games would know that the traditional turn-based systems have undergone a slow and arduous evolution away from turn-based combat since the completed development of Final Fantasy X. I've heard from individuals that this game is more akin to Devil May Cry rather than Final Fantasy. I disagree. I think this take comes from seeing the name of Ryoto Suzuki attached to the development team, who was the main combat designer from Devil May Cry. However, he also worked on Dragon's Dogma. Remember what I said about Platinum Games and the Kingdom Hearts team also assisting on Final Fantasy XVI? Their influence can be felt quite keenly in this combat system, and I think as more players get to play this game on release, this narrative of this being a Devil May Cry clone will slowly disappear. What we have here is instead a responsive and weighty combat system that feels like a hodgepodge of all the best ideas from the action RPG genre. As a result, the system feels familiar, but unique. Clive weaves in and out of combat, using Phoenix Shift to close the distance to deliver a barrage of attacks before dodging out of an incoming onslaught, only to dodge right at the last second to zip back into the fray with a counter hit to continue the offensive. Larger enemies have a will gauge which is depleted through your consistent onslaught, and when empty, the enemy will stagger, leaving them open for attack. This is the moment you unleash hell, using your special abilities from an icon to deal devastating damage. The demo gives ample opportunity to play around with these systems, giving you around 3 boss-like encounters to really sink your teeth into the basics. It's a tactical dance like any good action RPG should be, and it's completely engrossing. It will not win over any fans pining for the old days of turn-based systems, but if you either have an open mind to try something new or just in general a fan of action games, I think you'll find a lot to like here. Graphically, this game looks amazing. It's kind of amusing because I remember when this game was first revealed to the world and there was a ton of weird discourse about this game looking like a PS3 title. During that time, the game was still in mid-development, so those well-adjusted enough knew that what they were seeing wasn't the final product. But even then, the game looked really good. Now, with that extra polish, the game looks incredible. If there was something to the equivalent of FMVs in this demo, I did not notice because the quality of the cutscenes and the gameplay were nigh on indistinguishable. It would be very difficult in this day and age for Square Enix to reclaim that renown they once had, earned from releasing games of surpassing graphical quality, much like how FF10 was miles ahead of everyone when it was released, but it most certainly is up there with the modern greats. Masayoshi Soken. If you know this name, you know that this name alone is indicative of an out-of-this-world soundtrack. This man does not know how to calm down, and dear God, is this music as flawless as it is epic. If this is what we can expect from the demo, I get goosebumps just thinking about what else is in store when the full game releases. Needless to say, the music had been beyond expectations, which is sort of becoming stereotypical to say at this point, as saying that any music released by Soken is beyond expectation is, in fact, starting to become the expected expectation. I can only speak in vague terms about the story, as it is not my wish to spoil anything. What I will say that, at least from my perspective, what we got in the Final Fantasy XVI demo was extremely compelling. What surprised me the most was how much of a darker tone this game was going for. This isn't your father's Final Fantasy. Things are said in this game and done in this game that I would have never expected to be in a mainline Final Fantasy title. And don't get me wrong, past titles have had some extremely dark subject matter, but the way this game frames its events, its grittiness, its violence, feels serious and intimate without crossing into territory into what you might call edgy. This, in due part, is assisted by the absolutely phenomenal voice acting. There was not a single weak performance in this demo, and the voice actor for the main character Clive, Ben Starr, was stellar. Again, there was always a risk that when you are making a darker story, you can accidentally lean a little too far into that darkness to where it becomes silly. Ben Starr's performance lends a layer of authenticity to the performance. There is a real, gut-wrenching emotion in his performance, and I cannot wait to see the rest. That, of course, extends to the story itself, which is executed almost near flawlessly, with world building that doesn't hold your hand and is implicit in the environment around you. The journey of Clive Rosfield is one that I am ready to embark on, no matter what hell that journey takes me through. The only negative I will note here is that I noticed that there are points in this game that, when on its performance mode, which is set to target 60 frames per second, it does seem like the game struggles to go at a consistent frame rate. That said, it does not apply to any of the combat scenarios. Combat was smooth with no noticeable frame drops, and the only instances of this occurring are in non-combat situations. Hopefully this gets addressed at some point, but it is by no means a huge detractor from the experience. If you haven't caught on by now, I love this demo, and it only serves to reinforce what I've always known about this game. It's going to be great, and it should serve to quiet some of the more unjustified negative discourse surrounding the game. If you haven't tried it yourself, the demo is available for free on PlayStation 5. The game is set to release on the 22nd of June, and while I do not have the opportunity for an early review copy, do expect that there will be a full review of this game in the coming months after I've beaten it. Don't tell my boss at my actual job, but I actually took 2 days off to no life goblin mode this game. I suspect that it won't disappoint. Thank you all for visiting my channel. If you want to give this burgeoning channel its fair shot, I ask you that you do all the things that make the YouTube algorithm gods happy, which includes liking, subscribing, and commenting for that sweet, succulent engagement. I'll have more videos soon, and I wish all of you a wonderful life in RPG gaming.